Hello everybody, I'm Gary the Motham and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Orange. As you can see, I got a little bit of an update. And that's because I recently hit 1000 subscribers. Just a few days ago I released my 1000 subscriber special, in which I showcased some fan-submitted Pokemon. And they were honestly really good. Well done everyone. So if you haven't yet, go check that video out. I now have more subscribers than there are soldiers in the Luxembourg's military. Onward, my Burmy army! I originally planned to release a different video today, but my video about the Humesum region did really good. So I decided to move the video of the first gym leader up a couple weeks. Seeing as you guys all seem very interested in Pokemon East and West. Today, I will be unveiling the very first gym leader of the Humesum region. The Fairy-type gym leader. Every respectable region needs some good gym leaders. That's why Alola's economy is declining. And the Humesum region is no exception. For the first gym leader of the region, I had planned a Fairy-type. Now, that's an odd type for the first gym leader. Usually the first gym is a Rock type, but I felt like changing it up for once. The Rock type usually is the first type you come across because it's weak to both grass and water, but strong against fire. So it's an excellent introduction to type effectiveness. However, if you look at this beautifully detailed map, on which I made a video by the way, go check it out, link in the description, hint hint, nudge nudge, you'll notice that my first gym is quite the distance from the starting town. By the time you were to reach the gym, you would have gone through some story progression already, as well as having faced the real first boss of the game, the Bug-type Pokeboss Humigrate, which would already have taught you about type effectiveness. So instead, the Fairy-type gym is meant as your first real roadblock, being a test of your knowledge on type effectiveness instead of an introduction. Fairy is weak to only two types, Steel and Poison, and I just so happen to have a Poison-type starter Pokemon, which would have evolved right about at the same level as you face the gym leader, Fumu and Katoots. And coincidentally, the Fairy-type is also strong against the Dark-type, and I just so happen to have a Dark-type starter as well. Bunnyboor is a Ground-type, so it isn't weak or strong against Fairy-type, so it's a perfect way to learn secondary types. But to help you against this honestly tricky type for the first gym leader, I also have another poison type Pokemon planned for this point in the game. But that's for another video. I've rambled for long enough. Time to meet your very first gym leader. Okay, quick disclaimer. It has been over a year since I last attempted to draw a human, let alone in the Pokemon style. So this one was a real challenge to get right. I struggled a lot with the proportions and the pose, and I absolutely dreaded the hands. Hands. So I just didn't draw them at first. I'll find a solution later, who cares. The head shape was also a bit tricky to get right at first, especially the face itself. I wanted him to look a little smug in a charming and friendly sort of way. While he is a friendly Fairy-type leader, he's also no pushover. My idea for this leader was a gardener, someone who tends to a garden just like how Fairy-types tend to flowers. This is quite an old idea of mine. I had a very similar gym leader in my old region of the Elfie region, based on Germany. So I took a few design elements from that guy, specifically the pink gardening overalls, and then later those massive garden shears. I made his pants baggy and his overalls loose to give the design more character and help the silhouette stand out a little. I'm also giving him rolled up sleeves because it's hot. In the garden. It's hot in the garden. He's also wearing boots, just like before, but this time they're under his trousers. I didn't want to take away from the silhouette after all. Now is about the right time to tell you all I've been lying to you like a two-faced Arbok. This guy is not a gardener at all. He's royalty. My first gym leader is actually a royal prince who just so happens to really love gardening. His high-class fanciness is also why I gave him this quirky butterfly tie. He has a big butterfly motif going with him, since typically fairies are often depicted with having beautiful glowing butterfly wings, which will be important later. I made his hair look like a bush. I have nothing else to say. His hair just kind of resembles a bush. A blonde bush. When going into this, I didn't quite know what colors I was gonna give him. I knew I wanted him to be very pink, obviously, and I knew I was going to drop the green from the design. I wanted to cut all ties with the grass type, if you get what I mean. But as soon as I started coloring, I immediately knew what I wanted. I combined the color yellow with the color pink. One of my favorite color combinations in all honesty. And I feel it worked. I really like this soft pastel color scheme. I also added some hint of brown to the design, in the mud on his pants, boots and face. I thought it would be a really fun contrast to have such an elegant and handsome prince be all dirty and working in the yards. It's the whole reason I chose to make him a prince after all. Now the main attraction of the design is that massive pair of shears he wields. It amplifies the gardening aesthetic, follows the butterfly wings motif in its unique shape, which also dominates and strengthens the silhouette tenfold. And it also helped with the vibe I wanted to give him from a game design perspective. He looks like a nice, friendly, soft fairy type prince, but he also wields a massive pair of blades that can cut you down with ease if you're unprepared. Oh, I also forgot to mention, but I solved the hands issue. Don't need to draw any fingers when he's wearing gloves after all. One fun thing I wanted to do with the gym leaders is giving them all a prominent object in their design, like the shears I gave the first gym leader. Rendering and shading actually went a lot smoother than I expected to go, and in the end I am really happy with the finished product. This is Florian from Flora. Wait a second. I can't really do a dex entry with a man, can I? Well, this is Florian. It's a Latin and Germanic name popular in many European countries, such as the Netherlands. It means flourishing, blossoming, and flower. All great descriptors of a young, handsome gardening prince, I'd say. But just like every prince has his steed, every gym leader needs an ace. And I'll be making that ace right now.
Halt. Stop right there, you criminal scum.
What?
You are under arrest for breaking the YouTube laws.
But officer, what did I do? Is this because I usurped an entire nation?
You officially reached 1,000 subscribers, so you are obligated by law to do the thing.
But I...
You get 10 seconds. 10.
Yes,
9,
Mr. Sir, Officer,
8,
Sir Guy. 87%
7,
of the people who watch this video
6,
aren't subscribed.
5,
Which, honestly, sounds
4,
very normal for a YouTube channel.
3,
So be sure to like
2,
and subscribe for more content.
You are free to go.
Ooh,
Have a wonderful day, citizen.
jeez. Okay, let's just make the ace Pokemon, shall we? The lowlands, just like most Germanic nations, have a deep and rich folklore, with an emphasis on fairies. So I took inspiration from one of these for the ace Pokemon, the Witteweaven. The Witteweaven are a ghost-like witch or fairy, named that way after the white robes draped over their bodies, and the eerie fog and mist that surrounds them constantly. There are many stories about them in classic Dutch folktales, and usually these white women are an omen of death. I decided to really focus on the color white with it, making sure this Pokemon was a single monochrome white. It's a little being wrapped up in white robes, which drape around it to resemble tendrils and antennae. It floats eerily in the air, and it only has a single soulless eye that shows itself,
staring at you.
I based it loosely on a bug wrapped up in sticky spider silk. Though it isn't a bug type, yet, it would likely be found near old ruins and dolmens, those large rocks that humans spot in strange mysterious formations. According to the legends, Wheavit would live in these formations and call them home. And so does my Pokemon. Like I said before, this Pokemon is completely white, with only a single yellow glowing eye that stares at you. This is Wheavit, from weaving, the name with weaven and white.
Wheavit, the monochrome Pokemon, a fairy type. Those who spot this Pokemon at night in the forest, or when an ominous fog rolls in, should stay alert. Stories tell of Wheavit luring away people, never to be seen again. A poor boy once fell into a nest of Wheavits. His lover thought he had died. Instead, the boy emerged with gold and riches. It has the ability Levitate.
I've said before I wanted my decks to be nice and colorful, and Wheavit isn't really helping with that. But its evolution will. While Wheavit is meant to look like a little bland and colorless creature, its evolution will be the complete opposite, gaining every color of the rainbow. A flaw with many Pokemon evolutions is that they often remain too similar from the previous Pokemon, and sometimes are straight up just the same Pokemon but bigger. And that's a pitfall I feel I sometimes fall for too, sort of. A few of my designs look and feel a bit too similar to their pre-evolutions. For this New Year's resolution, I vow to change my ways and make more interesting evolutions, starting with the Wheavit line. I'm taking inspiration from your generic fairy in media and turning this Pokemon into a butterfly. A colorful and pretty one at that. I wanted the wings to be energy rays that aren't attached to its body. I thought it would be a really cool and pretty visual, and I eventually decided to convey this idea by making the wings separate diamond-shaped plates. I could give these plates different colors to make all kinds of pretty patterns. Before I came up with Shrum, I thought about giving this Pokemon the form gimmick Shrum has. If you didn't know, this is Shrum. Say hi to Shrum. He became a kind of mascot of mine. Shrum has a unique gimmick of having 25 separate forms depending on what nature it has. And at first, I thought about giving that gimmick to this Pokemon. But as you can see right now, all these plates come together in a beautiful rainbow pattern. Maybe I'll implement some form gimmick. Like, while writing this, I came up with the idea of a Spinda-esque gimmick, where every individual scale could have one of 9 colors. The 7 colors of the rainbow, plus black or white. But for now, let's say it doesn't have any forms. Maybe if I one day redesign this Pokemon, I'll change that. But say, hi! Hello! Hi! Oh wow, that's really annoying. To Butterfae! From Butterfly and Fae.
Butterfae, the polychrome Pokemon. A bug and fairy type. Butterfae sprout wings of beautiful colors when they take flight. It fires these scales of fairy mana at innocent passerbys to prank them. Because of their beauty and elegance, Butterfae are a common symbol of royalty. If you want Butterfae in your garden, make it pretty. It has the ability Multicolor. The ability Multicolor gives the Pokemon 25% power boost with every type that isn't its own type.
It looks so incredibly pretty. All the nice and gorgeous colors make it stand out from the rest of my Pokédex. My only gripe with the design is that the rendering of the scales doesn't really feel like it's in the Pokemon art style. But oh well, that's fine. It's meant to look special anyways. The fun thing about Butterfae is the fact that it's the only Pokemon that turns into a bug type upon evolution. We've had Pokemon that lost the bug type, but now we finally have a Pokemon that gains it. Butterfae is the perfect ace to Florian, since Florian has the butterfly wings aesthetic and Butterfae is attracted to gardens and flowers, drawing from the innate energy that these powers produce. Now, let's get a better look at Florian's team, shall we? The first Pokemon he sends out is a level 14 Flabébé. It has the ability Flower Veil and knows the moves Fairy Wind to attack and Safeguard to protect itself and allies from nasty status effects, such as poison. The Flabébé is quite weak, and that's on purpose, as his ace Butterfae is no joke. The stats I showed you earlier should explain why Flabébé isn't that impressive. Your starter likely just evolved, so facing a Pokemon with 120 speed and 19 special attack should be way too much. Which is why I'm not using the special attack, but the physical attack stat. Butterfae will know a brand new fairy type move known as Fate Prank. The user pretends to be sweet and innocent, and then painfully pranks the foe. It's a 40 base power physical fairy type attack, and serves as a physical version of Fairy Winds. A lot of other fairy type Pokemon would probably get this move in their early moveset too, so that physical fairy types, well, the few that we have, are a bit more viable early game. Butterfae also gets the move Tickle, to lower your attack and defense, and the move Lovely Kiss, that could really screw you over if your Pokemon falls asleep. And seeing as Butterfae moves first, that's going to be a little bit of a pain. Of course, Butterfae also has the ability Multicolor, which is its only ability, to power up the move Leafage that it has. Again, a physical attack. But that's not all for its team. In this speculative version of Gen 10, you can also take on a hard mode. In which case, I won't hold back any punches. Flabébé is now level 15 and also knows the move Razor Leaf. But the real trouble comes with Butterfae, who swaps its Fate rank with Fairy Wind. The change seems small, but it's the difference between getting hit by a Lillipup and an Entei. So yeah, you're screwed. Also, its Leafage changes to Absorb, to heal you as you slowly try to whittle away at its impressive special defense. Butterfae also gets to hold a Kivia Berry. Do you know what a Kivia Berry does, dear viewer? Well, it lessens the power of poison type moves. Have fun sleeping tonight! Now that we know about his team, let's learn about the man himself. Florian's gym isn't actually inside. Instead, the gym is outside, in the court of the palace. I thought it would also be kind of a fun gimmick, this generation, to have all the gyms be outside instead of inside. Kind of what they did in Paldea, but a little more intentional. The battle will take place in the court of the palace inside of Blossom Gardens, just outside of Courthoven. Your challenge is to find your way in a large hedge maze and find and battle 3 Shrum, who all appear in random locations inside the maze. I really like the idea of this challenge. It introduces you to the concept of looking for hidden Shrum throughout the game, and it gives you the chance to capture one. That way, the player would be incentivized to collect all 100 Shrum and gain the Shrum Spores, so you can evolve your Shrum into... You thought I was going to reveal Elder Shroom, did you? Well, that's still for another video. I still have no idea what to make of him. Anywho, when you manage to defeat the charming gardener Florian, he will give you the Fate Badge, as well as the TM for Fairy Winds. This hedgemate is made out of beautiful hedge statues. Hedge figures? I don't know what they're called. But Florian loves to trim hedges to look like Pokemon, especially fairy-type Pokemon. Well, that's it again, everybody. Today, we've met our first gym leader in the Humesum region. It was quite a fun one. I'm really happy with how Florian turned out, and he has a lot of personality. After this video, I feel a lot more confident about my ability to draw these gym leaders, and I can't wait to show you all the next one, which would be the flying type gym leader. Be sure to tune in next week to see what beautiful gym leader awaits you then. And have another wonderful day. I've been Gary the Muffin. Gotta catch me later.